Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you can tell by my mini ears, I'm here with my magical HOPATHON TBR. I have been dying to film this video for so long now, and I'm so excited to sit down and finally tell you what books I'm planning on reading for my own magical HOPATHON. This video is just so exciting because I am so proud of what I've managed to come up with regarding this readathon. I'm so happy that you guys are also excited, but even if no one else was partaking, I would still be so excited to do this by myself. So yes, of course, I am going to be attempting 4 parks, 3 books in each park, and then another one for my park entrance prompt. So I'm going all out to try and accomplish my own readathon, fully. I want to do all 4 parks. But that does mean 13 books in the month of October. I haven't done that this entire year. I've had a very hit or miss year when it comes to the amount of books I've read per month, but I'm motivated, so motivated to just smash out every single one of these books. So without further ado, let's get into my magical HOPATHON TBR. So of course, what is so special about this readathon is you can make it as custom as you want it to be. So everyone picks their own starting park, everyone picks the parks they want to complete, etc. So here is my route across the Walt Disney World Resort throughout October through the means of reading books. So I have decided to start at Animal Kingdom because it is my home park, it's my favourite park, it's a park that I got to work at during my Disney College programme, so I just had to start there. And for Animal Kingdom, to get into the park for the park entrance prompt, you need to read a book that includes nature in some way, whether that is the plot, whether that's the cover design, or whether that is the title. So for this prompt, I'm going to be reading Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, and this is because it's set at a camping ground, I believe, and the tagline for this book is "A lot can happen in the wilderness," so perfect for Animal Kingdom, because if you didn't know, in Animal Kingdom you can become a wilderness explorer from the movie Up. So if you didn't know, this book basically follows two best friends who are then turned to worst enemies, and they kind of get isolated during a school trip camping, and weird stuff starts to happen in the forest, I believe. Best friends turned worst enemies, Zori and Lennon have made an art of avoiding each other. But when a group camping trip goes south, Zori and Lennon find themselves stranded in the wilderness. Alone, together, what could possibly go wrong? As the two travel deeper into the wilderness, fighting each other as well as the forces of nature, secrets and hidden feelings surface. But can they make their way to safety? And will Zori and Lennon's rekindled connection survive out in the real world? I am so excited to read this book because I absolutely loved Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett when I read it last year. So excited to finally get around to another Jen Bennett, and thank you, Chloe, for gifting me this book for my birthday. It is fitted perfectly for the Animal Kingdom park entrance prompt to read a book that features nature. And then for the Animal Kingdom attraction, I couldn't not do Flight of Passage. This is my favourite ride across the Walt Disney World Resort, and for that it's to read a 5-star prediction. And this fits perfectly with getting in my October book club pick. If you didn't know, I do host a book club, and for October we will be reading We're Not Broken by George M. Johnson, which is a non-fiction memoir, and 100% I predict this is going to be a 5 stars. Their other book, All Boys Aren't Blue, was a 5-star for me. And yeah, I'm just super excited to get to kind of this. It's not really a sequel, it's just another collection of essays. I think this one focuses more on their cousins rather than their own life experiences. So I'm super excited to read this one, and I cannot wait. And this is 100% a 5-star prediction. So we have We're Not Broken for the Flight of Passage. For my snack in Animal Kingdom, I'm going to go for Jungle Juice, and that is to read a book that is a middle grade. So I'm going to finally be reading Front Desk by Kelly Yang, because I have been wanting to read this book for so long. Ever since I purchased it, it's been eyeing me up, but I knew I was holding off for a reason, and that is so I could read it during my magical HOPAthon and to complete a prompt that is a middle grade. Although it's really chunky, I do believe this book is going to be super quick to get through. If you didn't know, it basically follows our main character Mia, whose parents run a motel, and all she wants to do is become a writer. So it's her helping out her family, but also kind of trying to pursue her own dreams of being a writer. And I cannot wait to read this book. I think it's going to be so cute and perfect for a readathon because it's a middle grade, and I always fly through middle grades. Obviously in Animal Kingdom, because this is my starting park, I do have 4 books rather than the normal 3, because obviously it includes my park entrance prompt. So the last book for Animal Kingdom to complete a show prompt. For that I'm going to be doing Nemo the Musical, and that is to read a book outside your comfort zone, whether that's the genre, the page length, the format of the book, whatever that may be, whatever is outside your comfort zone. And for me, It's this book. And if you see one of my most recent videos where Mark and I go up against each other in the first sentence challenge, I lost drastically, and therefore my forfeit was allow Mark into Waterstones freely, and he had to pick any book for me. Like, I had no say whatsoever, and he came out with this one, which I don't think is too bad. It's The Truant by Kate Weinberg, and I have seen this around on BookTube ever so slightly, and it's a murder mystery, and I have been dipping my toes slightly into murder mysteries at the minute, but they're still not my typical genre. They're still fairly outside my comfort zone because I do get freaked out about like mysteries and thrillers and all that sort of stuff, so I don't gravitate towards them, so therefore I class them outside my comfort zone. So I'm picking this one for that prompt. It basically says on the back, Jess Walker is drawn into a tightly knit group of rule breakers in her first year at university and begins to experiment with a new version of herself. Coming of age, it sounds like right up my street at the start. But a dynamic between friends and their maverick professor begins to darken as they share secrets, lovers, and finally a tragedy. Soon Jess is faced with the question she fears most. What is the true cost of an extraordinary life? And someone says on the back, the Times, the newspaper says on the back, as much a coming of age story as a murder mystery. So I think that kind of fits my typical genre of like contemporary coming of age, but also mixes it in with a murder mystery, which I think definitely takes it outside my comfort zone. But I'm also really intrigued to read it, but it is quite a densely written book. So hopefully it's quick to get through. So there we have it. That is Animal Kingdom's stack of books. Every time I add a new book to this stack, I'm getting more and more daunted, but also so excited and so motivated to just read all these books and just smash out my own readathon. So just to repeat, we have Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, which is the park entrance prompt for Animal Kingdom. We have We Are Not Broken by George M. Johnson, which is for Flight of Passage to read a 5-star prediction. We have Front Desk by Kelly Yan, which is the snack prompt Jungle Juice to read a middle grade. And then we have The Truant by Kate Weinberg for the Nemo the Musical to read a book outside your comfort zone. And then because I personally want to make this readathon as realistic as possible, I am going to head to Hollywood Studios next, which is kind of like the closer park to Animal Kingdom, but I would be getting a Disney bus over to that location. So because I have already gained access to the parks via reading Starry Eyes, which is to read a park entrance prompt, I don't need to complete the Hollywood Studios park entrance prompt. So I'm going straight into the attraction, and that attraction I have chosen is Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway, which is to read a new release 2020 or newer. And for that I'm going with This Close to Okay by Lisa Cross Smith. And as far as I'm aware, this book kind of centers around suicide and about two strangers coming together when one of them pulls the other away from the bridge they're about to commit suicide on. I am so excited to read this. I haven't heard anyone speak about it. Leandra very kindly gifted this to me quite a while ago now, out of the kindness of her heart. I really appreciate her and her support for my channel. Yeah, so it basically follows our main character Tally, who is on her way home, and she's just recently got divorced, when she spots a man standing at the edge of a bridge. And without a second thought, Tally pulls over and jumps out of the car into the pouring rain. She convinces the man to join her for a cup of coffee, and he eventually agrees to come back to her house, where he finally shares his name as Emmett. Over the course of an emotionally charged weekend that follows, Tally makes it her mission to provide a safe space for Emmett, though she's hesitant to confess that this is also her day job. What she doesn't realise is that Emmett isn't the only one who needs healing, and they're both harbouring secrets. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I think it's going to be a great exploration into two strangers coming together and both needing each other's help without realising. So excited to get to this one. So this is for the prompt of Minnie and Mickey's Railway to read a new release 2020 or sooner. And this one came out in 2021, I believe. Yeah, it came out in February 2021, so perfect for this prompt. I seem to be enjoying the outside your typical genre prompts this month, and for Hollywood Studios snack, I'm going to head into Batu and grab a Ronto wrap, and that is to read a book outside your typical genre. And for that, I'm going to be trying to attempt to read A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I've kind of been wanting to read this book for a while. It's kind of catching my attention at the minute, so I was like, what better time to try and read it, because it is kind of like a fantasy. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling where the main character has cerebral palsy. So I am really intrigued to read it. I've heard a lot of good things about this series, and I thought, why not dip my toe into it when I've been prompted to read a book outside my genre? And because it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, I thought it was perfect for a Disney themed readathon. If I don't read that, then I can switch it out. I'm not going to say all these books are 100% because I could could feel more like a mood read at the time and switch out any of these books for a different one, as long as obviously it fits the prompt. So you'll have to make sure you watch my weekly reading vlogs to find out exactly what I read, but this is the plan, and my plan currently is to read A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, for Ronto Wrap to read a book outside your typical genre. And then for the show in Hollywood Studios, I'm going to go and watch Indiana Jones, and for that is to read a book that you've been putting off for ages, and I have two for that. The first one is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, and this is because it features some really triggering topics that I'm a bit worried about reading and whether they're going to trigger me personally, so I have been putting this off for a while. But I do also have the audiobook available to me, so I think this might be a perfect time to try and get this book off my TBR. It's about a teacher and student relationship, and then years later she realises that it could have been sexual assault, I believe. So this one could be triggering to me, which is why I've always been putting it off, but I do eventually want to get round to it, and this could be the perfect opportunity. But it could be too dense for me, and because it is a readathon, I am trying to read 13 books this month, it might be a bit too tough to complete. So I also have another option which I've been putting off for ages, and that is How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. And this is a non-fiction book about all the ways that you think failure in your life is actually turning into your successes and like leading you down paths that you didn't think were achievable or possible. And I have read her other book, Failosophy, and loved it. I listened to that as an audiobook as well, and I immediately bought this one, but I've been putting it off since the beginning of the year, so I think it's about time I finally get around to it. So these are the two options for Indiana Jones to read a book that you've been putting off. So to wrap up Hollywood Studios, I'll be reading This Close to OK by Lisa Cross Smith, which is for Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway, to read a book that is a new release, 2020 or later. We then have A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer to complete the prompt of Ronto Wrap to read a book outside your typical genre. And then we have My Dark Vanessa or How to Fail for Indiana Jones to read a book that you've been putting off. In Walt Disney World Resort, sometimes you can get different modes of transport that doesn't just include the Disney bus, and from Hollywood Studios you can actually walk over to Epcot. So Epcot will be my next port of call, and the attraction in Epcot that I'm going to be going on, I wish, but theoretically going on, is Test Track, and that is to read a fast-paced book. So I'll be reading The Flight by Julie Clark, which is a thriller. Who am I? A fantasy? A thriller? There's all sorts in this TBR. Basically follows our two main characters who meet at an airport, and they're both in sticky situations. They both have secrets that need to keep hidden. So they've come up with a perfect solution. Hop on the plane, the same plane they're meant to be going on, but switch positions so they end up leading different lives. However, when the plane crashes and only one survives, the survivor has to deal with the other person's hidden secrets that she was never meant to deal with. And I cannot wait to read this one. I think it's going to be really, really good. And yeah, and I definitely think it's going to be a fast-paced book, so perfect for Test Track. Of course, then I'm going to head around to World Showcase, and I'm going to stop off at the Japan Pavilion, which is to read a book that's been translated from Japanese, set in Japan, or the author is from Japan. And for that one, I'm finally going to be reading After Dark by Haruki Murakami. I think I'm probably butchering that, but this book has been on my TBR for ages as well. It's nice and short, which I'm always a fan of when it comes to readathons, and this book basically follows our main character Mary, who is in a cafe at midnight, and she soon gets disturbed by a girl who's been beaten up at a hotel, and she is in need of Mary's help. However, meanwhile, Mary's beautiful sister, Eri, lies in a deep, heavy sleep that is too perfect and too pure to be normal. It has lasted for 2 months. But tonight, as a digital clock displays midnight, a hint of life flickers across a television screen, even though its plug has been pulled out. Strange nocturnal happenings, or a trick of the night. It sounds thrilling. Another one outside my comfort zone, but I'm just gonna think of this readathon as a place where I can get loads of books that I've been putting off my TBR and eventually read. I do want to read it. I do think it sounds really interesting. I know it's one of Leah's favourite books of the year, and I want to see what the hype is about with this author, because he has a lot of hype, and I'm super, super excited to read this one. And then I'm going to go and get some air conditioning after walking around World Showcase with no aircon and no shade in the Florida heat. And I'm going to be going to Crusher's Talk, and that is to read a middle grade. And for that, I'm going to be reading When Life Gives You Mangoes by Corinne Getton, I want to say is the author's name. I've tried reading this book a couple of months back, but I couldn't get into it. So once again, it's finally the time to read it. Plus, it's the only other middle grade I have on my shelf, apart from Front Desk. And this one is also nice and short. So Epcot really shouldn't take me too much time to read at all. But When Life Gives You Mangoes, it basically follows our main character Clara, and she can't remember anything from the previous summer. But when a new girl comes into town called Rudy, she starts kind of remembering little things about the summer before. And when a storm comes into town, she has to finally face the truth of what happened last summer. And I'm just intrigued, really. I have no idea whether this is like a bit of magical realism. I don't actually know, but it sounds intriguing and it's on my TBR for the Magical Hopathon. So as a reminder for Epcot, I'll be reading The Flight by Julie Clark for the attraction prompt test track to read a fast-paced book. For Epcot Japan Pavilion for World Showcase, I'm going to be reading After Dark. I'm not going to attempt to name the author again because I'll butcher it. Completing the prompt with When Life Gives You Mangoes to read a book that is a middle grade for Crushes Talk. And finally, we're on to Magic Kingdom. I had to leave Magic Kingdom till last because from Epcot you can get the monorail over to the Magic Kingdom, and the Magic Kingdom is my favourite park. Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, they're tied, they're joined. I can't pick between them. Magic Kingdom is where the magic started. It is the first park that opened with the Walt Disney World Resort in 1951, which is why we are hosting this readathon to celebrate Walt Disney World's birthday on October 1st, 2021, because it opened 50 years prior in 1971. So I had to finish off in Magic Kingdom, and the reason I wanted to finish off in Magic Kingdom is because I wanted to watch Happily Ever After, the fireworks show, which is to read a anticipated release. However, before we get to that, the attraction I'm going to be completing in Magic Kingdom is the Carousel of Progress, because it's to read a book by your favourite author. And guess what, guys? I've been approved on NetGalley to read Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher. I didn't think that was possible, but I will be reading Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher for favourite author Carousel of Progress in the Magic Kingdom, because for some ungodly reason I've been accepted to read an art copy of it. What? Thank you! I'm so excited! But this book basically follows three friends who go on a road trip to try and discover who they're kind of meant to be in their early 30s, and if life is actually for them or they're just stuck in a rut. And I'm so excited, because if you didn't know, that is kind of like my favourite type of genre and kind of plot device in books is like coming of age, late 20s, early 30s. So I'm so excited to read that book, and of course it fits perfectly to favourite author because G is like one of my favourite people on the planet, let alone favourite author. So yeah, so excited to read that one. Then I'm gonna quickly grab a snack from the Cheshire Cafe and get the Cheshire Cattail, and it's like a croissant, it's delicious, and that's to read a sweet romance. So I'm finally going to attempt book 2 in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and that is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I've read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I didn't love it. I thought it was very overhyped, but people say the Dani Brown book is better, so I'm going to give it a go. However, if I feel like I want to switch it out, I'm gonna give myself the leeway to do that, and that's across any of the books I've mentioned in today's video. I can switch them out as long as they obviously still complete prompts. But if I don't feel like this one because I didn't love Get a Life, Chloe Brown, then I can switch it out. But it is for a sweet romance, so I'm hoping that there's some good juicy romance in Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I have no clue what it's about, but people love it, so I'm gonna give it another go. And then of course, like I've already mentioned, I want to watch Happily Ever After. I so wish I could watch it right now in real life, but I just can't. I can't get there. But I will be watching Happily Ever After to complete the prompt to read an anticipated release. And for that, I'm going to be reading Last Night by Mary McFarland. I think that's not how you say her name, but like Mahari, possibly. I feel so bad. But I've been wanting to read this book ever since M from A Little Writer M gave it a 5 stars. I have been dying to read this book, and it's basically about 4 friends who live their lives together. They've been best friends since university and now they're in their 30s. Sounds familiar, right? It's my favourite plot device ever. Friends in their 30s trying to figure out life. I just think because that time of my life is coming up and I just want to see other people also struggle trying to figure out where their life is leading them. So I just love that plot device, and I'm so excited to read this one. It came out this year and I'm so excited to finally be able to read it. I've been holding it off so I can read this book for the Happily Ever After prompt anticipated release. So yeah, super excited. So I was going to show you the stack for Magic Kingdom, but I only have one physical book, and that is Last Night. But just to repeat, Carousel of Progress to read a book by a favourite author. I'll be reading Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher. For the Cheshire Cattail to read a book with a sweet romance, I'm going to be tempted to read Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. And for Happily Ever After to read an anticipated release, I'll be reading Last Night. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So shall we do a big stack of books that I'm going to be reading? Let's. So these, my friends, are all the books I'm planning on reading in October. It looks very daunting, but I have complete faith in myself that I will be completing all the prompts. I'm going to go to all 4 parks. I am determined. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to read every single one of these books, or at least complete every single one of the prompts. Whether it's actually these books that I read to complete them, that is a separate question. I would also love to get to the road trip by Beth O'Leary this month, and it does complete multiple prompts. I have had a look. So if I'm feeling frisky, I might add this book in for Kilimanjaro Safaris in Animal Kingdom to read a book that is set on a road trip or across multiple locations, because obviously it is called the road trip. So if I want to, I will also read a book in Animal Kingdom. So I'll do 2 attractions in Animal Kingdom, because at the end of the day, you can do whatever the fuck you want with this readathon. If you obviously just want to do the 3 prompts in each park and then move on, that's absolutely fine. If you want to try and do all the attractions, all the snacks, all the shows, go for it. And it's just basically just make your dream Walt Disney World day. That is all I want you guys. I just want you to have fun and make your Walt Disney World dream vacation with this readathon. So I'm going to try and get to this one. If I can't, no worries, but we shall see. Obviously, make sure you're watching my weekly reading vlogs to find out exactly what I read. And I think that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a massive thumbs up if you're also partaking in the Magical Hopathon. If you have TBR videos up on your channel for the Magical Hopathon, make sure you link them down below, because I would love to see them. I've been loving seeing everyone's TBR so far using the Instagram templates and everything, but if you do videos, I would love to see them, so make sure you link them down below. If you don't do BookTube and you're still partaking, let me know what you're reading for your prompts down below in the comments. I would love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a massive thumbs up, a little bit of pixie dust down in the comments, and subscribe for future content so you don't miss those weekly reading vlogs I will be doing for the Magical Hopathon. I cannot wait to start October. It is less than a week away when you see this. You'll be seeing this on Tuesday, and October 1st is Friday. I will be going live on my channel from 12 p.m, so midday, and I'll probably going for about 5 or 6 hours depending on when I have dinner that day, so we can get lots of reading done on the start of the month and the start of the readathon. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any live shows throughout the month, because I will be going live twice a week throughout the entirety of October. So yeah, I think that's about it. I keep rambling, but these make me so happy. And I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!